source of power. White people made that same claim for white people it's good. And so they made on their own, claiming black power the way folks love. Robbie Luckett. I'm Associate Professor of History and Director of the Margaret Walker Center at Jackson State University.
In your opinion, what is Black Power?
Well, Black Power was a movement that really gets defined in the late 60s, but had been around for a long time. And in many ways, it was misinterpreted for a long time. And what it really was Black empowerment. It was about empowering Black communities from the ground up, empowering them socially, economically, and politically. And not just depending on kind of outside leaders and great figures to come in and to bring and swoop down and bring power, but to actually empower Black folks from the ground up.
What would you say is white supremacy?
Well, white supremacy is a fictional bigotry based on race, and race is a fictional creation. I mean, we know that what it means to be white and Black, much like what it means to be poor and rich, and what it means to be a man and to be a woman, are defined by society. They're social creations. They don't exist naturally. There are things like gender in terms of sex, men and women, male and female, and there are things such as skin pigmentation, but the meanings behind race are completely created. We're taught them, we learned them, and they vary drastically over time and over place. So in different places at different times, race can mean totally different things. So racism and white supremacy is based on something that's completely created, and it's created for one reason, and that's for power. And it's in the history of the United States, it's been created for the dominant group, which defined themselves as white, to use as a source of power over the supposedly inferior group, which was defined to be Black. But all of that was created. None of it was real. It was just an invention.
Why were whites afraid of the Black Power movement?
They were afraid of Black power because white power had always been built upon violence from day one. White power in America, look at our founding fathers. The great founding fathers were all slaveholders. Their power was based upon racial superiority, which they had invented, which they had created. It wasn't real, but it was based upon a system, and a system that was inherently violent. And white power in America had always been based on that, and especially in the South. And so when it came to African Americans asserting power on their own and claiming Black power the way folks like Willie Ricks and Stokely Carmichael would do in 1966 in Mississippi during the March Against Fear, when white people heard Black power, they thought Black violence, because white power had always been based on white violence, when the reality was Black power was never about violence. It could be about armed self-defense, which white people love to claim. They love to claim a constitutional right to self-defense and a right to bear arms. But when Black people made that same claim for white people, it scared them. And so they made them think that it was Black violence instead of Black power.
Why do you believe Blacks took a different route than whites in exercising their power?
Well, Blacks had to take a different route. They were given no choice by white America. There was no choice ever from the beginning of the founding of this country. African Americans were never given an equal opportunity to exercise the rights of freedom as guaranteed in the American Constitution and the rights of democracy in this nation. And so they had no choice but to claim them in different ways than what whites were unnaturally given as opportunity just for the artificial claim of being a certain skin color.